People who keep wondering why we regard Luigi Mangione as a hero, we don't. We see him as the symbol he is in a time that he's needed.
I mean, this guy basically became the modern-day Martin Luther King. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's statues of him in the near future.
I guarantee you that no other CEO is going to want to be in this position, and they understand the fact that Luigi has opened a path, a way that many others might want to explore.
This whole corporate capitalist takedown is just, oh my God.
The public support for defendant Luigi Mangione has become a major part of his murder case. But that support has the man accused of killing the CEO of UnitedHealthcare now living large, so to speak, behind bars. According to multiple reports, Mangione has collected $40,000 in his commissary. TMZ is reporting that the account is largely funded by donations from his supporters. Now, in the wake of the shooting of Brian Thompson, Mangione saw his support grow from many people all across the country due to negative feelings about our healthcare system here in the United States. And Mangione's support has been so notable that even Saturday Night Live acknowledged it.
Luigi Mangione dropped. Yeah, definitely woo. You're wooing for justice, right? Luigi Mangione dropped his extradition fight and was flown from Pennsylvania to New York to face multiple charges. In related news, Bumble exploded.
Now, Mangione isn't the only defendant to garner such a reaction from the public. Scott Peterson did, Ted Bundy did, and most recently, Jeremy Meeks, a.k.a. the hot felon, were all very popular defendants. So what is it about Luigi? And what do we make of this public fascination? Let's bring in jury consultant and human behavior expert, Susan Constantine, to talk about that. Susan, good morning to you. What do you think it is about Luigi?
Well, I think that most people are feeling that he becomes the idol of what people are feeling as an injustice, right? That they are being taken advantage of, big pharma. We've got large corporations, CEOs making decisions, life and death decisions when it comes to whether they're going to be covered or not covered, and people are dying. So they look at him as an idol. And that's what it's like he's looked as a vigilante. And it doesn't hurt the fact that most women are finding him really attractive. So that's where we go into the, histophilia, which is where they're attracted to people who are evil. So we're looking at this movement of where evil is celebrated as good and what is good is condemned as evil. And that's really the crux of it all, Julie.
This is fascinating, Susan, kind of picking apart what you shared with us. So when people look at Luigi and say that he's a vigilante, and is there a kind of I've heard this term thrown out there, like a Robin Hood kind of image with him going on, where people feel some kind of way about some issue, and then he's looked at as a hero by some.
Yeah, it's like Bonnie and Clyde. That's exactly what it is that they look at him as that he is becoming the person, the voice of people who are feeling outraged, and he is the one that has carried it through and manifested it, and people are celebrating that. So they're kind of other people that the public is behind the curtain, and they're celebrating what he did as being good. So that's what is going on here. It's really a bizarre phenomenon where we see, like even with Jeremy Meeks, more his mugshot was thrown up there, and what happens? Chloe Green, who is a heiress, ends up falling in love with the guy. So what is it? This attraction? It kind of reminds me of Halloween, right? So we've got this fear factor, this horrible thing that's scary and fearful, but then there's also this attraction to it. So it's very bizarre. It's a psychology, it's a psychopathy of some sort. But the more people that jump on board, the bigger that group becomes. That noise becomes larger, and then people fall into kind of that cult belief.
This is fascinating, Susan. So another aspect of this, really with both Jeremy Meeks and with Luigi Mangione, the aesthetics, right? How much is this mattering? Like, would we be having this conversation about Luigi if he looked very different than the way he does? Would Hot Felon have become so famous and have gotten so much viral attraction online and found love, you know, the way he did if he looked differently? How much do looks matter?
Yes. Oh my gosh, does it ever? I mean, because they're looking at him as, how could this guy do this, right? He's a good-looking Italian guy, chiseled face, olive skin. He's very smart and educated, and there's that attraction to that, right? So I think that naturally people are attracted to beautiful things, right? I mean, he is a very attractive guy, and it almost evaporates the fact that he is also a killer. And that's where, when it comes to jury selection, the prosecution needs to start implanting some mind viruses into that jury to see him differently as a killer, not as a vigilante. Even though he's good looking, don't disguise the mask that underlying it is a very deviant, calculated killer.
Susan, excellent points. Yeah, it horrifies me. I can't believe we're in this day and age. You know, it's one thing to look at, I remember when Hot Felon was popular and everybody was just passing around the mugshot online and, okay, you talk about it. Here, there's action being taken with Luigi. I mean, we're seeing the amounts of money. Let's talk about the $40,000 in his commissary. And this man is accused of a cold-blooded murder, accused of shooting a man in the back on the street in New York City when he was totally unsuspecting, unarmed. It's an ambush attack that he allegedly did. $40,000 just in the commissary. That's not donations to the legal fund. We'll get to that. The defense fund surpasses $1 million. I'm blown away by this. And he also gets 100 to 200 letters a day, Susan. So people are actively wanting to reach out to him. What do you think of these actions? People actually, I can't believe, giving of their hard-earned money and time to support this man accused of murder.
They just have a warped belief system, and that's really what it boils down to. They're not separating out the fact that he committed a murder, regardless of their belief system, regardless of how they're trying to create a cultural shift in how we see things. They are supporting him, standing behind him, and then also rallying behind him. So the fact that he has, $40,000 in commissary money to use, I guess that's a lot of money for a bunch of bags of Cheetos for him, because he's going to be in there for a very, very long time.
Yeah, sure is. So Susan, let's tap into your jury consulting expertise. I keep thinking about the defense team, and he's got great lawyers. So there's a concern about the jury pool and things that the government has done publicly of perhaps prejudicing Luigi. You know, be that true as it may be, I would be more concerned if I'm one of the prosecutors, truly. I'm wondering, should the defense, if you're on the defense side, should they be leaning in to this? To really ride this wave, so to speak, of the support and of the very, very vocal love for this defendant?
That's part of it. I think that that's very true. But on the other hand, I would never walk into the courtroom without doing my jury research. So I would want to test all those different arguments and hypotheses to see what the outrage might be and the sentiment of those jurors. So I don't know what is going to land. You've got to test these beforehand. You just don't throw, mud out there and just hope somebody's going to, is going to hit them. You have to test it. You've got to do your jury research to determine what works, what arguments work, and all the way throughout, from opening statements all the way throughout, and different questions. And that's one of the things that I work with my attorneys on, is that we have to test. And I don't know whether you knew this, but I actually have a technology that analyzes the sentiment of people. It's called the jury lab. I'm not sure you knew that. And what I do in these mock trials is they test these arguments, these hypotheses, these mind viruses, and seeing how it lands. So I say, I don't know until I know. And you've got to test lots of different things from different angles to see what works and what doesn't.
It's fascinating, Susan. We got to talk more about your jury lab on another segment here on Court TV. Thank you so much for coming on Opening Statements this morning. This was a really, really interesting discussion. We'll continue following Luigi's case.